Hi, everyone. This is Raquel.
Hi, and this is Jennifer.
Welcome to Madness Cafe.
This is a feminist podcast where we talk about women's issues, politics, and health and wellness.
And where those issues intersect.
Hi, Raquel.
Hey, Jennifer.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Great.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. Just in case you guys haven't caught on by now, it's just me and Jennifer today. We don't do very many episodes anymore where it's just us, or where it's only us, and without a guest. So we're a little giddy today. But in the frame of giddiness, we are talking about a positive topic, which doesn't always get talked about as a positive topic. We're talking about social media and the positive aspects of social media, specifically because we all know, yes, social media, it has its downsides. There's cyberbullying and misinformation and stalking. I mean, there's a plethora of bad shit when it comes to the internet, but there's a lot of good things about the internet and social media. And Jennifer and I are going to talk about some of the things on social media that bring us joy and that are good for our mindset. Because we all know, yes, social media can bring about community. If your feed is curated well, it can be good for your mindset. It can be a way of keeping in touch with the world and knowing what's going on in the world. It can be a way to learn about new things. So today we're going to talk about some of the social media that we follow that makes us happy.
Well, the first thing I want to talk about or ask you about, you mentioned cultivating your feed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a really interesting concept. And I think sometimes people don't even think about it. They just watch, maybe on TikTok, they just watch videos or they're just scrolling through and they're not really thinking about what's in their feed and how it's affecting them and what's going in their mind. So, number one, my question for you, Raquel, is how do you actually cultivate a feed that is a positive in your life?
It's easy for me to get caught up in, oh, well, I should follow so-and-so, or let me follow this person, or let me follow this person. And then I'll start to notice either this person is either angry all the time, or they only post pictures of themselves that, I mean, good for them that they feel good about themselves, but it just makes me feel bad about me. Not their intention, I'm sure, but it's like I'm seeing lots of pictures of people who don't look like me, and it then just makes me feel bad about me.
Comparison stuff.
Yeah, all the comparison stuff, or it's just fluff, and I'm like, I'm not getting anything out of this. And every once in a while, I'll just get, specifically with Instagram, because I mean, Instagram is my jam. I love Instagram. I've been loving Instagram basically probably since it came out. Like, I'll go through my feed every once in a while, like, I don't even care what this person is saying anymore, or this person just doesn't do anything, or oh, blah, 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 or this person is only talking about, I don't know, cupcakes or what. Not that there's anything bad with cupcakes. I think y'all all know I love a good cupcake.
Yeah, I got cupcakes on my feed.
Cupcakes are on my feet, yes. But you know what I mean? Like, if it just gets to be like, I don't really get anything out of this anymore, or this makes me feel bad, then I'll just cut something. But there have been things that I cut out of my feed that, I was in a different headspace later, and I went back to, and I got something else out of it. Mm-hmm. So I think it's just a matter of maybe staying aware of what's in your feed and not just sort of blindly just sort of scrolling through.
So that's a great question. Not specific people that you're following, but what kinds of things are in your feed? I made a huge list today.
Oh, I did too.
What kind of things do you, if you're like scrolling through, what are the things that you're seeing? What are your topics?
Okay, so I have a few, right? Like, some are people or organizations that are keeping me informed on specific topics or just culture in general. There's also people who talk about books, because I'm always looking for new books that are out, or people who are talking about books in a really smart way.
Because you don't have enough books to read.
Because I don't have enough books to read.
And because I can throw this in right now.
Yeah.
So you're not for banning books?
I am not for banning books at all.
Okay, cool. We just wanted to clarify.
Just clarify for people. Another category that I have, keeping my mind right. Like people who post things that, not the whole toxic positivity kind of stuff, but people were like, keep this in mind, or it's okay to not be okay, or maybe think things through this way, or something that kind of helps me reframe things from time to time, because I'm human. I need that shit sometimes, right? I also follow people who talk about finances, but in a fun way. Like, you got to keep me interested, okay? I also follow some people who talk about like relationships and menfolk, because I need help with relationships, and I apparently don't understand menfolk when it comes to relationships. So sometimes I need some help. So I've been following a few more like menfolk fashiony type stuff, but like fashiony stuff for curvy people or people of different body types. And then there's some that I follow that are literally just like, they just make me feel good. They just make me smile. There's one that's just a puppy. And then there's one that's just this cat. And then there's like a couple that are like these little cartoons that are just adorable. And I just love them, and they make me happy, and they come up on my feed, and I'm like, oh, that's a warm fuzzy. So I literally span the gamut of things, but it's things that aren't rotting my brain. I'm getting something out of them. What about you?
Well, I made my list a little different than you, but here are the things that are in my feed: activism, yoga, running, health and wellness topics like Reiki, ADHD, helpful hints, mental health hints, lots of stuff about nutrition, lots of stuff about exercise, gardening, lots of hiking pictures. I love, even though I've never done this, I follow lots of people who are foragers, who forage for mushrooms. I love looking at, do I even eat mushrooms? No, but I really like watching the mushrooms. Lots of food art, lots of cooking. I follow a lot of just regular food channels, but I also like vegetarian food and vegan food. Strong women, lots of books, just like you, the outdoors, and then lots and lots of feminist material, which is probably a given. That's what makes up my feed.
There's a lot of overlap in ours. There's activism and feminism, and mine are kind of in the finances and keeping up with what's going on, informing myself kind of thing, and even some of the keeping my mind right stuff like that. And that's where the mental health stuff comes in too. And I have to throw this out here too, because I follow a lot of my friends too.
Me too.
Again, going back to one of the positives of social media is staying connected. Right? Like, there's so many people in my life that I have known for years that have such a special place in my heart. But do I talk to them every day? No. Do I even talk to them every year? Probably not. But I still wish them well. I still love them. I still want to know what's going on in their world. And this is an easy way to do it.
Well, that's interesting you say that, because my dad actually got me started on social media.
Oh, wow.
When Facebook first came out, how many ever years ago that was, I was like, nah, I'm not getting on there. I'm not doing that stuff. Now I'm like social media queen, right? But
yeah,
my dad was like, oh, please sign up, because it's a great way to share pictures. We can share pictures with the whole family. So in the beginning, that's all my feed was. I was like posting pictures of my kids like crazy. Now I know actually no longer have the permission of my kids to post pictures of them anymore, which makes total sense. And I totally get it. But in the beginning, it was actually my dad who was like, hop on here.
That's very cool.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And I think it is because of social media in many ways that we have this podcast.
Oh, you know what? You're right.
We wouldn't have connected, I don't think, without social media.
Yeah, because we reconnected because of that, because you were posting, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. And I really liked the way that you were writing on Facebook and Instagram. And I was like, this is really awesome. This is really cool. And it gave me a real insight into your life and what you were up to.
Do you tend to follow more, I don't know how to phrase this, more like local small artist types, or do you tend to follow like the big stars like Beyonce and Madonna? And you can tell who I like. I can't think of anybody else because I've noticed that sometimes there's lots of high powered billionaire type people making posts, but then there's also all these people that maybe really in some ways would be considered unknown, but that have amazing posts.
You know what? Looking at my list, the vast majority of people that I follow are not big stars. Like there's some people, because obviously, well, or maybe people don't know this, but a lot of our guests we have found via Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook or somewhere like that because we follow them or they come up on our feed and we like their content and like them and feel a connection with them or their topic and then reach out to them.
That is true.
So in that sense, I mean, they're known to us and they have a following. I do follow some typically famous people.
Like who?
Like Tracy Ellis Ross.
Okay.
I love her. Love her. I follow, who else do I follow? Oh, I don't know how famous he is, but Zachary Levi. He played Shazam in the Shazam.
Well, then he's famous.
Yeah, he's famous. But I adore him and literally have a just big old giant crush on him. And I'm just waiting for him to realize that I'm his dream woman and for him to show up.
I hear you.
Yeah. I follow Taye Diggs. He's pretty famous. Okay. You know, and then there's some musicians and stuff that I follow. St. Paul and the Broken Bones. They're an up and coming band out of Alabama. Oh, why did I just blank on her name? Sarah Bareilles.
I don't follow her, but I love her.
Love her. And listen to her book on audiobook because you hear her read it, you know, it's her voice. And I will tell you that book actually made me cry. It's about her life and she wrote it kind of like a series of essays and it's so good. So yeah, she's one of the famous people that I follow. And then I follow Viola Davis. Love her. She posts really cool stuff. Yeah. Like, who do you follow? I mean, Beyonce and Madonna, yes.
Actually, I stopped following Madonna. Don't tell her.
I won't tell her. Your secret is safe.
Yeah, don't tell Madonna. I'll tell you in a minute. The reason I asked the question is because I've been thinking a lot about the podcast and social medias and what things we do. And one of the things that came to mind with me with all of the artistic posts that we put on Instagram for our podcast is number one, is that even the right place to be posting them? Because how many people are really, like, the audience overlaps a little bit, but are the people on Instagram really interested in our podcast? Yes, no, maybe, hard to say. But I also noticed this trend where there's so many incredible small podcasts that are done specifically by a woman or partners, women like ourselves, that are just steadily growing. And then a star, someone famous, will decide to start a podcast, and their first podcast out, they have 1 million downloads. They already have sponsors. They have someone who's editing, someone who's doing the artwork, and all they really have to do is show up an hour a week and talk to somebody, and then their podcast goes out.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, are those podcasts really so special? And I'm not saying they're not, because I love Glennon Doyle's podcast.
Oh, love it so much.
I love it. I listen to it almost every single week. And yet, how many small social media influencers, people with podcasts, people who are writing online, how many people are we not seeing? Because all of these big names, they have a company behind them that just does all of their for them. I guess I'm feeling a little envious.
A little bit. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think in situations like this, I think envy can show you what you want. And that's what we want. We want a little bit more of that. Right? Like, no shade to where we are right now and no shade to our amazing listeners and followers who we adore. We adore y'all. I mean, it would be cool to get a little more kind of eyes on what we do.
But
right?
also, but I wasn't even thinking of just us. I was thinking of all these amazing podcasts that we follow, that we found because of our podcasts, etc., that may never grow because there's like no way to get the word out into the ethers, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know. I'm getting us off topic. But anyway, that's why.
That's kind of where we come in, right? Like today. I mean, I literally have a list of, I think I have 31.
Oh my God, you're a super achiever.
No, I follow literally.
I have a list of 8 people I brought. Raquel bought 31. I brought 8.
I have a list of over 2,000 people that I follow.
Wow.
It's a little too much.
No,
it's a little too much.
No, it's not. But that also brings up this other thing I've been thinking about social media. And Instagram in particular, when it first came out, a lot of people were starting these like influencer brands, or they were starting their business on social media. They were offering coaching practices, etc. Yeah. If you follow, how many people did you say you follow?
Over 2,000.
If you follow over 2,000 people, do you actually see their posts?
Not all of them. Although I do from time to time will go and look at my list and go, oh, I haven't seen a post from that person in a while. And then I'll go check.
So you'll look for it.
Oh, yeah.
So I was thinking about that in terms of, you all know that my oldest daughter is trying to start her own business. It's called Ari. And she's been trying to do most of her marketing on social media. She's small. She does she takes used clothing and upcycles it and sells it. And most of her marketing is on social media. And she's like, some of these people have 1 million followers. And I'm like, okay, but do those 1 million followers, if they're following 2,000 or 3,000 people, are they actually seeing the ads anymore? What I'm saying is it's so oversaturated with billions of people. Like if you followed 5 people, you would see every single thing they posted.
Absolutely.
Right? Absolutely. If you were that curated, which is what we're talking about, curating a feed, this just tells me I need to clean up my feed.
I need to clean up my feed.
No, I'm not. Your feed is your feed. My feed is my feed. But I will say that when I was getting the information for this episode today and I was going through the people I follow and I was asking myself why, there were so many ads. And I didn't even realize there'd be like 3 ads and then 1 person I follow, and then 3 more ads and then 1 person I follow. And I'm like, when did this happen?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think you get more ads than I do, though. I mean,
Why?
I get all ads, don't get me wrong. I don't know. Maybe it's because I follow so many people. They're like, whatever, she's fine. she's on here. She'll see this eventually.
I mean, and the ads look like my feed. If I wasn't paying attention, I wouldn't even know it's an ad. It's a lot of feminist stuff. I get a lot of ads for other podcasters, and I look at it, and sometimes I do follow them from that. And sometimes I do listen to their show. So I'm not saying we shouldn't be doing this. I'm just saying I feel like the feed is saturated with, like, I'm curating what I put in my feed, but also behind the scenes, someone else is curating it with stuff to sell to me.
Right. And that's the algorithm. And that's always going to be the case. There's people and entities that control these tools, these companies that we are relying upon. That's always going to, which kind of comes back to what we're saying. So I'm kind of saying the same thing that you are, but slightly differently, is that's why it's important to curate our feed. And that's why it's important to keep an eye on it and to scroll mindfully so that you know when it's an ad and when it's somebody that you specifically follow, so that you don't just get kind of sucked into it.
It's a very interesting topic.
Yeah.
Okay. Should we talk about some of the people we follow?
I would like to do that because there's so many people that I follow that I really want to give shout outs to, either because of specifically how they made me feel, or how I have learned from them, or that they're doing great work and I want people to know about them.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I think what we're going to need to do is you're going to need to do 3. I'll do 1. You do 3. I'll do 1. You do 3.
Okay, I like that. So the first one that I want to kind of give a shout out to, it's called, well, and this is her name, Lene Vinay, but it's at Lynae, B as in Victor, Anee. And I'll put all these in the show notes so that other people can see them and follow them and find them. But she is a Black woman, I believe, here in Atlanta. She now has, like, I've kind of seen it grow, right? It used to be just the Instagram channel, and now she has a podcast. I believe she has like a blog now and all this kind of stuff. And I've seen that she's gotten awards from the NAACP and all this kind of stuff. Like, she is really blowing up. She's amazing. It started out with what she called parking lot pimping. She starts it out with, I'm gonna keep it Black, but I'm gonna keep it brief, or something like that, right? And she literally gets on with like a teapot and a teacup. And she goes, and pouring the tea, right? And she literally talks about important issues that are affecting Black people and just people of color in general. And she talks about, and she literally like goes deep on a topic, but very, very quickly. Like she says, she's going to keep it brief. It is amazing. I mean, the emotion and the depth that she puts into the conversations are great. It's no holds barred. It's her personality. It's what I assume to be her personality. So it's not sort of this like sterile view of what she has to say. I love her. She's in your face. She's putting it out there. And here you go. Huge respect for her. I hope she continues to keep getting the attention that she's getting. And I hope she continues to blow up. And then there's another person, Elle Duran. Their Instagram thing is LELLE dot DERAN. Elle's posts are so energetic, honest, and candid, and full of just this love and just.
What are her posts about?
Their posts are about, I believe it's about Elle's transitioning.
Oh.
Like, over the time that I've been following, Elle's been more and more open about the transitioning and hormones and their relationship, basically that whole process. And it started out with, hey, I'm a person. I have a heart. I'm a good person. Why are you hating on me? Maybe it's just that you don't understand. But so I really hope more people follow Elle. I mean, I've learned a lot about just somebody who's going through the transition and somebody who's just living their lives and just like, okay, so this is my life. I'm just a person. Just because there's certain aspects of my life that are different doesn't mean that I'm someone to be feared or someone to be hated. I was really drawn to Elle just because of their personality. I mean, there's just so much bubbliness. I just can't imagine why anyone would hate on them, because there's just so much. I mean, this is such a happy soul. Like, how can you hate on this person? And then I follow a bunch of, and these are just a few, so I'm just going to lump them in together. Some feminist podcasts. Potty Mouth Pollyanna.
Cute word.
I love her name. I love her name. It's awesome. And Summer Tot Hill.
Oh,
and, yeah.
One of my faves.
Yeah. And maybe I learned about her from you. Maybe you sent me
one of my faves. Yeah. I am constantly reposting posts from her. Because they're just so spot on, and there's no discussion here. This is just the way it is. One of my faves.
Yeah. So there you go. So I snuck in a fourth one, but yeah.
All right, my first one, she goes by Erica Latines, EWAK_LEGACYLOVE. So legacy love _legacy love. She says that she's a queer Latin speaker equity and justice for all. El amor es mi religión y la tierra mi tiempo. And that means love is my religion and earth is my temple. That's what her feed is about. She has, I believe she's from California, and she has so many posts about what's going on with the migrant workers, what's going on in the queer community, different laws. She reposts other people's work. I have just found her work to be amazing. She's one of my favorite activists. That's what she is online. She's an activist. She's also beautiful, striking. It's just really fun to watch her work. I just think she has a real commitment to love and justice. And so if she could get more followers, she's one of my top faves.
That's awesome. We should see if she'll be on the show.
Oh, I would love it.
Okay, so another sort of section in social media world is I like learning about new books that are coming out and hearing people actually talk about them. Not just, oh, the New York Times book review says blah, 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 blah. Because that ends up being a lot of, there's a lot of books that get missed, right? So
same thing we're talking about with podcasts, having a star and writers and etc. Like let's look at people who aren't already a star and see their work.
Exactly. So one of them is the Stacks Pod, which basically it's the Instagram component to the Stacks podcast. The woman who is the host of the podcast, I mean, she is a voracious reader, and she will have the authors on the show. She'll talk to them about the books. She'll also have other people on, either friends of hers or other authors, and talk about different books. So you're going to learn about books regardless on her show.
You turned me on to that one,
but it's really cool. And she has great conversations with the authors, and she has like a book club in addition to it. And, and she's very involved with her community of listeners, and they talk about the books and all this kind of stuff. So really, really awesome. So I love her, love the Stacks. And then there's another one called Row House Pub. It's a publishing company started by a Black woman who I started following just her because she had, trying to remember her name, Rebecca, dang it, I'm blanking on her name, but I started following her because she had a book about meditation out. And she would, talk about meditation, and I follow her on YouTube and all this kind of stuff. And she would start talking about books because she was writing books as well. Like she wrote a book about meditation. She wrote some kids' books. In the process of publishing books and self-publishing, she's like, there's a lot of people of color and underrepresented writers who don't have entree into this world and don't have a way to get their art out there. And so she started Row House Publishing to help get people funded and get their books out there. And she has a podcast along, kind of a component to the Instagram page, where again, they're talking to new and or underrepresented authors about their craft and their art and their books and other writers that they love and follow, and just the whole topic of underrepresented communities in publishing. Those two pages, love. If you are looking to find new authors or authors that are new to you, or groups of, like, if you're like, hey, I want to increase the number of writers who I follow who are queer or who are women or people of color or indigenous or whatever, follow those two Instagram pages, and that will open up a whole new world to you of authors that you have not heard about yet.
I love your passion around this.
Like I said, I want to shine a light on all these people who are doing great things, and they bring me joy in lots of ways. And I want to return the favor.
All right, I'm gonna throw my next two in together because they're kind of related as well.
Cool.
So my first one is just called My Precious Ordinary, all run together. What she does, and she's done it since 6/28 of 2016, is
Wow.
she posts her daily at-home yoga practice every single day. She doesn't say a whole lot. It's mostly just pictures and sometimes some hashtags, etc. She's not a yogi who's studied for millions of years. She's a person doing yoga in her home. She takes beautiful photos of herself, kind of most of the time up by her window.
Mhm.
I just really love seeing her pictures. And, I do yoga on and off and doing my best to stick with that. But I find that inspiring. I like seeing a regular person looking beautiful, amazing, and doing yoga and strong. Oh my God, so strong. And if you go back, because she does it every single day, you can see changes in her ability to get deeper into those poses, which is really cool.
Wow.
And the second one, the woman's name is Angela Pohl. I hope I'm saying it right. Her last name is Pohl. Her Instagram handle is Good Running 26.2. I think she's changed her handle from when I was first following it.
Mhm.
But the reason I started following it a couple years ago is she was running while receiving chemo treatments for breast cancer.
Oh my
She
God.
was marathon training at the same time, and she was showing her chemo treatments. She was showing her running stats. She was showing days where she couldn't run. She was showing her hair loss. She is such a strong effing woman. She
Wow.
is a breast cancer survivor now,
Wow.
and she is training for marathons. She's running marathons. So I just find her so inspiring as well. When I was scrolling through to check up on her today, she has been on lots of podcasts, which I didn't realize when I looked at her link tree.
Mhm.
She's been on so many that I'm going to go and listen to her speak because I've only seen her photos and,
Yeah.
the things, even the tags that she writes on her photos. So inspiring.
I love that.
Yeah.
I
So
love that.
those two are kind of health and wellness type accounts that I follow.
Very cool. I love those. My next category, I kind of termed it keeping my mind right. I don't know about everybody else, but I need reminders to give myself a good kick in the pants every once in a while of, you know what, think about things a different way, or guess what, you're okay. Or
Mhm.
even if you're not, it's okay to not be okay, right? Or think about things this way, or to just dig deeper into issues that are rolling around in my brain. There's three people, I mean, there's so many more, but there's three that I wanted to highlight. And I believe all three of these women have started to get some attention and some accolades, but why not? I'll add to the love because these three women I think are amazing. One is at Morgan Harper Nichols. Her writing is so poetic and lyrical in a certain way, but also not too flowery. Like she gets to the point, but she couches it in a way that it's very digestible. And when she has her posts, the backdrop of each post is her art,
Oh, cool.
which is great. And she's written a book,
What are her topics?
mental health,
Okay.
mostly. I believe she has some mental health, not issues necessarily, but some things that she kind of has to keep an eye on. Lives with, yes, I'm going to pull up her page. Okay, so her tagline on her page says, creating room to breathe with art and words. And she is autistic and has ADHD. Her art is just amazing. I mean, she's like written a book. I think she's written a calendar. She's very honest and candid in the way that she posts and talks about mental health issues and that sort of things. I really like her quite a bit. There's also, it's called Fleur de Lis Speaks. I don't think I've ever seen this woman's actual face, but it'll be like a little note, like a little piece of paper with her handwriting on it. And
Oh,
it's
cute.
a note. And then she just signs it at Flirtily Speaks. It's always just the reminder that I need at the right time. And she's just very consistent. And it's just a little note, just a little handwritten note. It's nothing showy. It's a heartfelt note, as if like a friend had written you a card and sent it to you in the mail, but you get it on Instagram. And then the other one is the holistic psychologist, and it's the period holistic period psychologist. This woman has written a book, and I think I have her book. I have it on in like Kindle form. I believe it's called Doing the Work. I think that's the name of it. She's a psychologist, and she explores relationships, attachment theory, ways that we attach with other people, family dynamics, and how they manifest in our daily lives, what our childhood looks like in our adulthood, and the ways that it's manifest. But it's all very accessible. And she's very, very open about her own issues with things from her childhood that she's trying to work through, or how those things have shown up in her relationships and how she's trying to work through those things so that they don't derail her relationships. Those three women, among so many, many more, that are doing such amazing work. I feel bad that I can't, highlight all
say
of
them all.
Yeah, I can't say them all, but there's just so many that are out there that I just think, yeah, those three among many are doing such amazing work.
Well, you did better than I did in highlighting. I thought you said come with 3, and I cheated and I came with 8, and you came with 31. Okay.
I couldn't cut them down.
That's fine. My next one is called Tia Leving's Writer.
Ooh.
This is one that I follow just because it's kind of a special interest, but it's also so much related to politics and feminism and patriarchy. And because what she does is she writes about the Christian fundamentalist abuse that she received. She was what she calls a fundy mom. Mm-hmm. So she tried to live that lifestyle as a wife and a mother and tried to raise her children in that lifestyle. And the information that she gives out, number one, I find it fascinating. I just am like really drawn to the Christian fundamentalist information because I think it's one of the reasons why we have so many white women doing stupid shit like voting for Trump.
Yeah.
To delve into her writing and hear maybe why, why, how they were sort of brainwashed as young children and women growing into this lifestyle, the things that they were taught to do.
Yeah.
She also talks a lot about, what was that family that was on TV that had the Duggars?
Duggars, yeah.
She often uses the Duggars as reference, and she'll put the mom Duggar, I forget her name, she'll put her on and she'll say, this is why she's saying this. And one of the most striking things that she said recently is, remember how the mom Duggar's voice is so like soft and girl-like?
Yeah.
They train the woman to have a childlike voice.
I had no idea.
I know, it's fucking fantastic. It's so freaking interesting. The women have been trained to be childlike, and the men have been trained to desire women who are childlike. And guess what happens in that environment?
Oh.
All kinds of sexual abuse, right?
Okay.
It's so fucking interesting and sick. And I believe it's one of our fundamental problems in this country, because the right is that's the fundamentalist belief that's driving this desire to take away all my autonomy, all your autonomy, everyone's. Even if you're not a female, they're still trying to take away your autonomy because they're telling you what religion you must practice.
Yep.
What job you can do, what kind of man you have to be. I know I said a lot about her, but she has written a book. She's been on podcasts, but I especially like her Instagram because she does little snippets of information and you're like, wow. Childlike voice for women.
Oh my God.
I love her. I love to follow her feed.
Part of the whole thing of what we've been saying of these are people who open up a whole other world for us, who educate us about things we didn't know before.
Oh, and what's interesting, like I could talk about this all day. Obviously, this is a topic I'd like to cover. She said, we're in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
The Christian fundamentalist is living in your neighborhood and you don't even freaking know it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I kind of want to move ahead to like my feel goods because I have so many.
Do it. Move to the feel good. That's what this
Because
is about. The positive sides of social media.
yeah, okay. Before I get to just the feel goods, I think people who've listened to the show for a while know that I have body image issues, and this is something that I've been trying to work on a lot lately, like specifically trying to work on. Not, oh my God, I've got to lose weight. Not, oh my God, I hate my body. Not any of that. I'm trying to develop an appreciation for my body as it is right now. I don't know if I'll get to the loving my body phase, but I at least want to get to the appreciation of and at least neutrality about my body. So, one thing for me that's been difficult in, with having gained weight and having a hell of a time trying to lose weight and all of this is feeling pretty and feeling good in my clothes and feeling like I'm still attractive and feeling, dare I say it, even sexy sometimes. I used to follow people who would have these feeds that were they were like these perfect bodies, and or it was just all about like sexualization of their bodies and all this. And I'm like, hey, good for you. That's awesome. But it was making me feel bad. And that's me. That's my own baggage. I'm not talking bad about those people. Good on them that they feel great enough in their bodies that they can do that. That's awesome. It wasn't doing good things for my head. I curated my feed and I stepped away from those particular Instagram accounts. I don't know how this happened. It's like people, like these fashionistas, basically just sort of started popping up in my feed who were curvy, a little bit older, like in their 40s and 50s, and some even older. They're like women you see every day. They're a little softer, maybe a little curvier, but they're dressing just for themselves. They like something, they get it. If it's flattering, they're wearing it, right? It's not, oh, does it make me look thinner? No, they're like, do I like it? Does it look good on me? Do I have this great accessory with it? I started to notice that I was having fewer negative thoughts about my body. I'm not perfect. I'm better than I was. And there's one woman in particular, and her site is at Taryn Truly. She's gorgeous. She's tall, she's curvy, she's got a soft belly, and she talks about it. Like there's literally one post that I remember where she like holds her pants open a little bit and she's like, this is my belly. Who cares if it's soft? It's a belly. It's supposed to be soft. She goes, but she's cute. And I'm just like, oh, and then she puts on this outfit and it's just beautiful. And she's not trying to hide anything. She's just like, my belly's there, whatever. Let's find something that looks cute on my belly. And she puts these outfits together and she just looks beautiful. And she talks to you like she's one of your girlfriends. And she's like, you can do it, bestie. You look great too, bestie. Embrace your belly. It's fine. You still look cute, bestie. And I'm like, I do look cute. Oh my God. And literally, it was just like, little by little, it just kind of started to seep in, kind of like with the bad shit. The bad shit, little by little, starts to seep in. So does the positive. And I started to realize, oh, I see these women, like whether they're walking around or they're on Instagram or whatever, and they look beautiful. They're my size or bigger or smaller or whatever, but they're like, I don't have a perfect body. Who gives a shit? I look cute today. And I'm like, oh, I can do that too. Which is kind of a duh moment, but it's starting to have an effect on me.
Listen, it is not a duh moment. We have been trained by the patriarchy to not like our bodies. That was done on purpose.
Yeah.
It's not a duh. We were indoctrinated to not like ourselves because how do you keep a people down?
You distract them with shit that's not important
and make them not like themselves.
Yeah.
and tell them that they need this, that, and the other thing to make themselves better. One of the best things that you just said, thank you so much. You said soft belly. And I think in the past I would have been like, ooh, belly. And I was like, soft belly?
Mm-hmm.
Soft
Yeah.
belly might be kind of sexy.
Yeah. Yeah. And this woman, fucking gorgeous. And then there's another woman kind of along the same vein, beautiful woman, curvy. She wears these great outfits. I mean, she just looks really cute. And it's not like these women are spending like goo gobs money. It's not like they're like, oh, I got this from Gucci. No, this is attainable stuff. Like these women are like, this is attainable, right?
That's important.
Yeah. And her handle is hot pink and glitter.
Oh,
So
cute.
and then there's this other woman, her handle is Slayed in Full Official. And she's a thin woman. She's a Black woman. She's older. She's maybe our age. She has really short cropped hair and it's like graying, but it's gorgeous. And she wears the funkiest outfits and like mixing and matching stuff and throwing things in and like all the things. She's a maximalist for sure, but she looks good every time she posts. She's like, who cares what other people think? Like her most recent post was talking about like people who are hating on you, and she's like, you're living rent free in their heads. This makes you an influencer. You should thank them for making you an influencer. You have influence over their lives.
That is Slay. What's her handle? Slay something?
Played in Full Official. This woman's just amazing. Like I totally admire this woman.
So really big mix in beauty standards of women who have an unconventional body type. Well, actually have a conventional body type, but not the type that's shown normally.
Yeah.
And women who are aging. Name me a person who's not aging.
Exactly. That's the goal, to continue to get older. I mean,
we could all be so blessed, right? My next one we have had as a guest. I really just love her post. And so I thought, okay, we're going to talk about her again.
nice.
You know her as Dr. Sarah L. Webb, and she does Instagram posts. She does LinkedIn posts. She has a YouTube. Her handle is Colorism Healing. And I think the reason that her account always has spoken to me, I love to follow it, is because what she talks about is the same kind of thing we're talking about. To amplify and spread affirming messages for dark-skinned women. Mm-hmm. Let's amplify affirming messages. Mm-hmm. Let's stop amplifying things. Let's not focus on the things that bring us down. Let's focus on these affirming messages. And of course, her message is always about, well, not always, because she's a multifaceted human being, but what she posts about a lot is colorism and how it pervades our society, but she's trying to bring up the positive side. I love her work. I couldn't say enough about it. She was already a guest, so if you're interested, go back and listen to her episode, but you can also find her on YouTube. She puts out a post every single Monday.
And she's brilliant, and she will literally bring up stuff that isn't talked about all the time that really needs to be.
It does. Talk about somebody who dresses amazing too.
Yes.
Her wardrobe. When she doesn't even do that as her job. Like her job is talking about colorism, but I look at her clothes and her outfits and I'm like, ooh, she's got a style.
She had a haircut recently and I was like, that's really cute. Love that haircut.
She could be a double influencer because her style is so amazing too.
Yeah. So I wanted to kind of talk about some of the sort of my feel goods, right? The ones that I literally follow them just because they make me giggle. They come across my feed. I'm like, oh, look, it's an old friend, right? Like, I'm just like, oh. One of them, it's called Landon Talks. And it's this Southern guy. I think he's from Mississippi. And I know the South, it is a problematic place. We have a problematic history. We have a problematic present. Mm-hmm. Being Southern is not always easy, but I am proud of being a Southerner. I'm proud of where I come from. I recognize its flaws. I do. Mm-hmm. But this guy, Landon, talks about like the things about being Southern that kind of cut across through all of that. Things like sitting on the porch, humidity, bringing stuff to the cookout. What's some other stuff he talks about? Oh, there's one that he has out right now. It's called Fall. All the fall vibes, the sweaters, the colors, but you wear them inside. because it's not fall outside yet.
No,
It's not
it's
fall in the
not.
South yet.
It's
Not
not.
fall in the South. You turn down your AC so it's nice and cold, so you get a little nip on your nose. He even says this, you get a little nip on the nose. But then when you go outside, you take all that off. And then you go out.
That's hilarious.
And and then he talks about like certain phrases like taken to the bed. Because what does that mean? Taken to the bed. What does that mean when your people talk about taken to the bed? What does it mean when people from wherever talk about taken to the bed? And his voice just is so soothing. And he's just cute as a button. He just makes me giggle. And I'm like, yeah, I know what taken to the bed means. Why doesn't everybody else know what it means to take to the bed, right?
You always have some kind of phrases like that I'm like, what is she talking about? I think the first one you said on the podcast was sweating like a whore in church or something. Well, it makes sense.
Exactly. And so he talks about stuff like that. And he's like inviting people into that conversation. Tell me, what does that mean for you? Or he'll talk about, which mayonnaise do you use? Do you use Duke's or do you use Hellmann's? Tell me, what do you use? Discuss. For me, being a Southerner, there's something about the Southern accent that can be very, very comforting. I remember when I was in law school at Minnesota, I was so homesick that I would watch Designing Women just to hear the accents because I was so homesick. And so when I hear him, it's like, and I mean, I live in the South, so whatever, I hear the accent all the time, but there's just something about him that's just so welcoming. And I'm just like, Landon showed up today. And so another one that I really like that's on my feel good list, it's this woman, her handle is Feed the Malik, Malik. She's this Black woman who rebuilding her life. She just got a divorce. So she's taking you through her whole process of like decorating her apartment and living in a new city and all this kind of stuff. But the main focus of her account is Black owned businesses, Black owned restaurants, and all these different businesses in different cities. And then she tells you about them. So it's just this really cool feed. And it's like following her on her day of just these different places that she's finding, and she's telling other people about it. I mean, she's highlighting all these other places and she's kind of shedding a light on all these things and saying, hey, everybody come see this place and, order there, whatever, which I just think is amazing. I mean, it's everybody's lifting each other up, which I think is just, it's fantastic.
Seeing a theme.
Yeah. It's so cool. And then, oh God, it's so hard for me to pick. Here's another one like that. Pep talk. Everybody needs a pep talk every once in a while. And there's this woman who, her name was pronounced Alethea Crimmins. Her handle is Ms_HDIC. This Black woman, and she's loud and she's boisterous and she's just happy and just full of life. And she gets on and she just comes, she's just like in your face. She goes, don't let these people take away your shine. Don't dull your shine. Blah, blah. And she's just like telling you, this is not what we're going to do. We are not going to do whatever. And then at the end, she goes, now go and have a good day on purpose. That is so cool.
It is.
Some of them, because I'm like, I'm going to go back and watch that later. And it literally is like that girlfriend who's going to be like, okay, stop with the craziness. I know these people made you mad or made you cry or made you doubt yourself, but fuck them. Of course, she doesn't say fuck, but fuck them. You are amazing. So you go out there and have a good day on purpose, And I'm like, that's so cool.
Have a good day on purpose is so intentional.
Yeah, she's lovely. And she's hilarious. She glows. There's just this light and this happiness, this joy that emits from her. Who can have a bad day when your friend is going, no, this is not what we're going to do?
Do you put her on every morning?
I don't. I should, though.
Really that should be your wake-up call. Wake up. All right. My next one. This is a guest who hasn't been on our show yet, but we're going to interview her in November. Her handle is Eastside Indie, and her name is Candace Crawford. I have been following her for a long time. Sometimes she makes comments on my posts. Sometimes I make comments on hers. She is a vegan food consultant. She also talks about politics and feminism, but mostly it's food. And she's always changing her hair color. And so there's fashion too. It's
Yeah.
like food and fashion and politics and feminism, but it's mostly vegan
Intersectional.
food.
It's
Yeah, it's very
intersectional.
intersectional. But I just love her food pictures. I wish that I lived close so I could go eat her food. I have a lot of food on my feed and I don't even really enjoy cooking very much anymore, but or at least right now. I don't enjoy cooking right now. Maybe I'll cultivate my feed with more recipes so I'll enjoy it again.
Do that. Okay, there's one that I follow, and he's not a chef. He literally is just a guy who like finds these recipes and tries them, and they're not healthy. Okay, not at all. They're like put in a block of cream cheese. Like they're not healthy, but they taste good. And he shows himself like mixing them up. And again, another Southern dude. I tell you, the accent, it's warm and fuzzy. It's like home for me. His handle is your barefoot neighbor. He's just like, just whatever. I'm making this food. It looks good. Guess what? I'm gonna try it. Yeah, it's good. And his like kind of thing that he ends with is like, come and make yourself a plate, right? Which is kind of a Southern saying, like, make yourself a plate. Okay, I'm gonna come and I'm gonna make myself a plate.
Food is good. I got another food one on my list. She's called Ipsy Foodie. Well, she's actually got two Instagrams. She's got her Ipsy Foodie, and her name is Carolina with a K, Carolina M. Robel, Wrobel. And she's got the one food site, the Ipsy Foodie, but she has food from Detroit, food from Ann Arbor, lots of food pictures, and her eating the food. Beautiful stuff, beautiful photography. And then on her other site, I used to work with her. So I see a lot of stuff from our joint work, but I also see she plays with makeup. She plays with fashion. She does that thing where she puts the little freckles on her face right now.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, so cute. Always doing her hair. She blogs. She talks about mental health, local food scene, art scene. It's just, again, just fun. I just like food.
Very cool.
Would I rather go to a restaurant? No, but I'd rather go to a good restaurant where the food was good and not cook.
Yeah. 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 I mean,
but I don't want to have to wait in line. I want somebody to deliver that food right here.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's something to be said for somebody else. I mean, that's part of hospitality, right? There's something to be said for somebody doing it and bringing it to you, making you feel taken care of. That's hospitality.
But people follow Ipsy, WPSI Foodie, because I used to work with her. I know her personally. She is a genuine human being. Blow up her page.
For people who are going around just saying, you know what, all of social media is evil. Don't look at it. It's just going to rot your brain and there's no good can come of it. What do you say to those people, Jennifer?
I've been thinking about this. What is the message to this podcast today? And to me, it is everything is energy. When you give your focus to something, you increase the energy. Whatever you give energy to grows. And I can get caught up in this because I follow a lot of political stuff, a lot of feminist stuff. There's a lot of, probably one of the worst things I see right now is a lot of man bashing, but I also see a lot of the Republican stuff. Even when you're talking about the Christian fundamentalist stuff, I can see a lot of stuff. You can get down this rabbit hole that brings on depression. Well, I can get down this rabbit hole and be like, oh my God, the world, we're killing our world, the wildfires, the temperature. We can soak in that so much that we see despair. Or we can take our energy and attention away from burning down the patriarchy and put our energy and attention on building up what we would like instead of patriarchy. I think the thing is, we need to be careful with our feed. We need to be careful with what we're feeding our brain. Obviously, we need to see the news, but how much of the news do we need to see? Do we need to see the same story again and again and again? And I get caught up in that because I'm involved with Moms Demand Action and sensible gun laws, and I can watch gun murders all day long if I want to on those sites. Or I can know that there are gun murders, and let's look at some, what I think one of the solutions is? Let's focus on building community so young people have places to go. Instead of focusing on the guns and the murder, let's focus on building community. I don't even know if I'm saying this right, But
No, I think you're saying that very well.
but what I'm saying is whatever we give our money, our focus, our attention to, that grows in our life. And we're saying these are the things that are important to me. And yes, all of that, all these things are important, but let's focus on what we're trying to build rather than the destruction of what we hate. And let's put it in our feed. Let's do this thing where we shout out people who are doing amazing things to build a better future. Yeah, and I'm proud of you. You got 31 of them.
I'm proud of me that I didn't list all 31 on the show right now, but I will list all 31 in the show notes, people. I will. I think it's a balance of, yes, stay informed, keep educating yourself.
Yeah,
Right?
but should we get our information, like our news information, from social media necessarily?
This is where you have to be careful about the curation, but you have to be careful about curation even in your daily life, in real life. You have to be careful about where you get your information. For instance, there's like some of the news feeds, or the more kind of news centric feeds that I follow, or issue centric feeds that I follow. I know for sure that those are legit accounts. If you aren't sure, then follow specific newspapers or reporters that you like, or authors that you like who specifically write about issues that you're concerned with, and then branch out from there. But start with something that you know is legit. One of the political or issue centric ones that I follow is called Abortion Every Day. I know who that woman is. I know she's legit. I know she does her homework. She's providing information that we aren't necessarily getting in the news. The news only has so much time that they're allotted to, like, mainstream news anyway. They only have so much time that they're allotted for each particular topic. And there's only so many topics that they can really cover. And so lots of other things get pushed to the side or just get pushed out completely. Yes, they're talking about abortion in the news, but they're not talking about every aspect of it. Her Instagram account, I know, is going to cover more parts of that topic than I'm going to see in the news. So I follow her. If certain other political topics are your jam, then follow people in that area that you know is on that topic and writes about it legitimately and accurately and fairly, and then follow those people. There's ways to get your information. And yes, it's just going to be a snippet, but you only get a snippet in other places too. This is a jumping off point. Okay, this person introduced this topic. Oh, I hadn't thought about that. Let me then go and follow some more and find out more information. It's always just a jumping off point. No one source should be your only source of information. I literally want different viewpoints. I want to hear the other sides of things. But by the same token, sometimes I just want something cute and funny on my page. And sometimes I just want to see a picture of a cute puppy or a cuddly cat. Sometimes you just need that. It's a balance.
I think it's a balance, but I also think what I've learned over the couple of years of doing this podcast with you is that it could be an embodiment exercise. So you're scrolling through social media, you're on your Instagram feed. How you feeling? How you feeling in your body? You feeling happy? You feeling sad? You starting to get depressed? You starting to feel lethargic? Do you not want to move? If you wake up first thing in the morning and you grab your phone and you start scrolling and suddenly you don't want to get out of bed where 2 minutes ago you did, maybe the feed is not the feed for you.
That's a very good point, Jennifer. And I like that you tied that to embodiment.
Yeah, like how does this feel? I'm scrolling along. How does my body feel now? Has it changed from 3 minutes ago from when I wasn't scrolling? Because I've noticed that you can get down in any well on TikTok where you're like, and suddenly maybe you're angry now. Now I fucking want to kill patriarchy, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that isn't, maybe you're learning some stuff, but maybe it isn't the best feed if you're wanting to feel good.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can learn to tap into how we're feeling, how we're breathing, what we're feeling into our body. And I think we've learned that by doing this podcast. I wouldn't have said that 2 years ago.
No, not at all. I wouldn't either.
So if your feed's not feeling good, cultivate it a little. And I have one final thing I want to say. I think what I've been thinking about in this whole podcast episode has allowed me to get there. I personally would like to see us shop local on Instagram and social media. And what I mean by that is, instead of shopping at Amazon, i.e. the big star, instead of following the big star, let's follow real people. And I'm not saying you can't follow whatever big star you want to follow. Follow whatever you want. Shop on Amazon all you want. Everybody do what they want. But I would love to see a push of supporting small artists who are creators, who are bringing their authentic selves forward. All of those people that you talked about, Raquel, every single one of them, you love them because of their authenticity.
Absolutely.
That's what spoke to you.
Yeah.
Not because they used to be on some show that you watched 5 years ago and they're a star, a name that you know, and we should just give them this unending platform. Boy, I really do have a problem around this right now, don't I? I can't believe I'm going to say these words. I want to see us embrace beloved community, like the people who are around us, instead of big business, big brands, big stars, people who already have a platform. Let's open the platform.
That's a very good point. And I think that is a really good call to action for our listeners, because you named some local people. I named, one local person.
I mean, I don't mean local as in geographical. I mean,
I know, but what I'm getting at is, because people listening to us live all over the place.
Exactly.
So the call to action, actually 2-part: follow people that are local to you, listeners or viewers on YouTube, and then tell us in the comments who are some of those people that you're following that are local for you, so that we know and we can give them some love too. We can spread the love so that other people can give them love too.
Let's get these people who are creating content that is building something. Let's get them a larger platform.
Amen.
Amen.
There are people doing great things and putting out great content, just like you said. My hat is off to them. Whether they know it or not, they're affecting somebody. And I think that might be a lesson for us too. Because yes, somebody is going to be affected by what we say. Somebody appreciates that we get on here and we are authentically us when we get on here. We are very candid and heartfelt, flawed, and ourselves. We do this because we love it. That's what a lot of these people, like the people that we are pointing to, are doing these things because they love these things, or they feel this need to get the information out there. And I think that's incredibly important, that you have a voice, or you have an interest, or you have something and you want to share it with the world. Do it, share it. And if it touches you, share it with somebody else. If any of the people that we follow, that we have talked about today, have an effect on you, or they bring something up for you, follow them. Let them know that you love them, right? Like, let them know by like a post here, make a comment there. We're building community, like you said, beloved community, and we're doing our part to build beloved community. Thanks everyone for listening today. We will be back with more Madness Cafe next week. You can find us on Instagram at Madness Cafe Podcast, or email us at madnesscafepodcast@gmail.com. Bye.